An anchoress is an interesting thing to be, because basically what happens to you is you lock yourself up voluntarily into a cell, usually attached to a church. It was in the early Middle Ages in England. And there were about 700 people who were anchorites. They were men and women. The reason that Julian of Norwich is the most famous is that she was the first woman to have written in the English language, and us still have a record of it. This wasn't realized until about the 16th or 17th century, and at which point she became very popular within spiritual and religious circles in England. Julian of Norwich was interesting in another way, in that her revelation occurred after a very serious illness. She had a life-threatening illness, and she had visions of Jesus and God and angels, and she was basically told various things that she then wrote down in a book called The Revelation of Divine Love. And in this book, she talks about God in a different way, and that, I think, was the real breakthrough of Julian of Norwich, in that she saw God as a compassionate God. God very similar to the God that, or to the supreme being, or whatever you want to call it, that the Buddhists believe in. A compassionate God that is focused on love and forgiveness, and that basically does not put us through sin on purpose. We ourselves are the ones who put ourselves into sin, and it is, in her words, by getting out of sin that we move towards enlightenment with God and to become one with God. Julian of Norwich really saw God as a mother rather than a father. And this again was very controversial, particularly in the Catholic Church, which has been particularly paternalistic over the centuries. And so seeing God as a mother, she saw God as a nurturing God, one who would love and offer love and compassion, and not rules and laws that cannot be broken. And so she saw forgiveness as a key thing that God did. But beyond that, she saw God as this nurturing mother, the image of God with her arms wrapped around people to help them rather than teach them lessons or judge them or any of those other things that happened in the Old Testament. So here are some quotes from Julian of Norwich. Her most famous comes from her vision of Jesus, which is, "All shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well." And in terms of sin, she says, "Thou shalt not be overcome." It's very similar to the thought of God never gives us anything that we can't handle. The one that I found the most intriguing was her quote about the three attributes of God. So she said that truth sees God, wisdom contemplates God, and from these two comes a third, a wonderful and holy delight in God, who is love. And she basically argued that love couldn't come forth until you could see the truth and until you had developed wisdom. Both of these concepts are central to the idea of yoga and the idea of Buddhism. They only occur with certain individuals in Christianity. In Christianity, the teaching is that God is love, and that God forgives you, and that you should become perfect as the Lord is perfect, so you should become love. But there's no real method. Here she's beginning to look at a method, the search for the truth and the contemplation of wisdom. And that is what we are going to focus on in many of the meditation lessons if you follow some of the other videos. Anyway, they're the key things that I learned from reading the Revelation of Divine Love by Julian of Norwich and reading about her life. I really don't believe that I could be an Anchorite. I could not brick myself up in a building or a room attached to a church and have a little hole that you pass your waste out of and you get your food through, and that basically you spend all your time in contemplation and people come and knock on the little window and ask for your wisdom. It was very popular for quite a while in Middle-aged England, and then was banned, I think, by maybe Henry VIII, who basically changed the entire English system of religion. So, there we have Julian of Norwich. Be well, be happy, meditate.